Hey guys, what's up? This is Purge, and I'm going to be doing the patch stream. I know I'm really late. Went on a 2-day vacation as I started driving. The patch came out, so that's what happens. Before I start, this is unfortunately not a first impression. This is a second impression. I already read the patch notes on Sunday, a little bit, like a couple hours after they came out. I just couldn't help myself because I knew I wasn't going to do it right away. And that's just how it goes. So basically, I should be a little bit more informed on some of my decisions. With that said, I haven't played any games of the new patch since I've been gone out of the house for like 2 days. So we will go over that. And one other thing I want to show you guys on is my Teespring. This has been up for probably about 2 or 3 weeks, but I haven't done a very good job promoting it because I've been really busy. So if you want to go check this out, you can just go to Teespring and search Purge-Gamers. It didn't work when I did Purge Gamers, but there's a couple different designs and you can customize like what it's actually on. You can do like logo ones. There's a couple things. I still need to design like one more, I think. But a lot of these are kind of cool, and you can choose the colors. There's like different color options. You can put it as like a print. I should get a print actually. That's really cool. Or you can do t-shirts, hoodies. You can put on a cup if you want. There's lots of customization that you can do. So that's on Teespring. Feel free to check it out and buy stuff. Oh yeah, and there's timers here as well, which might confuse you. This is just this just means that it prints and ships every like 3 to 4 days. So you're not like, you don't have 22 hours to actually buy this. It just depends. It might delay your shipping. So that is about it for the shilling. So let's go to the patch notes. So this came out on Sunday, I believe, for me at least. That was, yep, 2 days ago. So a couple of things to go over again. I've already read this once, so hopefully I should be able to cover things. And in advance, feel free to write in chat if you guys have questions or I said something wrong and you have clarifications, because I'm going to try to read chat while I do this. Fingers crossed. Can I make the text bigger? No, I don't think so. Okay. Enabled Treant Protector in Captain's mode. I wasn't too surprised to see this because he's been played with a little bit. I do know that he got kind of buffed and nerfed later on, so we'll talk about that later. The tower change was pretty interesting. Tower's base armor reduced by 2. This is pretty huge, but they gain 1 more armor per nearby enemy hero. So that means every hero that's nearby gives 3, which is big. I don't remember how much armor it was reduced of in the last patch, but I do know it only gave 1 armor per hero. But this basically means that towers die super fast if no enemy hero is nearby. So split push heroes, this is better for them. It also gives a lot of advantage to heroes that can just push waves. So even if you're just a support hero that can nuke a full creep wave easily, it actually gives you a lot of ability to take a tower more rapidly. 2 less armor is huge. So I think at lower MMRs as well, this is going to make the games end a lot faster. It also means that if you actually do show up with 5 heroes, that just simple tower siege kind of stuff is going to be harder to work. So, and I believe this is literally all towers. So this even means like high grounding. So maybe a little bit harder to close the game out, perhaps. The bonus armor based on nearby heroes, it's been increased a little bit. So basically heroes that are kind of close to the tower will increase the range or the armor. So kind of interesting. 2 armor is kind of a lot. 3 armor is kind of a crap load though. If that's 5 heroes, that's what, 15 armor? That's actually insane. That's so much armor. That's like a 90, it's like almost double the HP if you have 5 heroes nearby versus no heroes. That's a massive difference. Massive difference. And it also means that minus armor strats, the more heroes you have, the less effective they will be against taking towers, which is kind of an interesting point. Shrine's base health regen reduced a little bit. This isn't a lot. It's like, what, 6 seconds or something, so you'll gain 60 less HP. It's kind of impactful though. So I don't like Shrine's a little bit worse. Small buff to spell amplification, just 15 for a percentage instead of 16. So, but I don't think this is super significant. Spell amp is something, but it's not massive, I don't think. This is a pretty decent change, I feel. Not bad. The Hand of Midas got nerfed, of course. The experience bonus is heavily reduced and the gold went up. So I thought about this a little bit. I think it's kind of an interesting change. A lot of the reason that people buy Midas is they usually save Midas until they want to get Midas on a hero that actually needs levels faster. Like Wraith King is a good example because you hit 18 a lot faster. That way your ulti's on a really low cooldown. But usually when people purchase Midas, they do it when they're having a good game. So in some ways this is a nerf. It's definitely a nerf to the item, I would say. But the GPM increase is pretty good, I would say. Let me pull up the calculator really quick. So when I calculated before, it was about 100 GPM or something like that. So if I do 220 and I divide that by 100, that's how many gold per second we get. That's 2.2. which is not bad. And if we multiply that by 60 now, it's basically 132 GPM, which is quite good actually, considering that before it was a little bit less than that. I'll just double check the math. I think it was like 107 or something like that. Divided by 100 times 60, it's 114. So was that 130? 114 GPM? It's basically 2.2 times 6, 60. 132. So it's a small increase, like 15 GPM increase if you get high in a Midas now versus before. This is better for ultra late game Midases since it gives more gold. It's worse for getting your levels fast. I don't necessarily think this is a fully bad thing though. Obviously it power levels you, but I think for weaker players this might be better, perhaps, because like there's a lot of the experience gain stuff that everybody gets. I haven't like looked into it too much, but I'm just kind of unsure how much it matters, because I worry about it in terms of games where you actually die a lot, because if you're getting more levels but then you end up feeding, then you're giving your opponents a lot of experience. And I guess gold kind of works the same way, so maybe this will also be detrimental. But for supports, I'd almost argue that this is better than the experience bonus, because levels are pretty significant, I think, for gank heroes. So people that are likely to die, I think it's kind of negative sometimes to level up as much. Well, that said, talent trees obviously are great, but I was also very salty when I read this because we literally just released a Midas guide and all the numbers are wrong for the experience gain. It's still absolutely worth it to use the Midas on the higher experience creeps. It's still really important, but it's less important now. I would definitely still use it on range creeps and large neutrals. It's definitely worth it, especially early game. Just a little bit less than it was before. So maybe Midas will just be a gold item, but we'll see how it changes. Pro players have been buying the item a crap load, but I'm sure a lot of it's just because of the levels. Yeah, that's a good point. On Arc Warden, double Midas is in some ways better. Probably not doing 10 hours stream, no. And yeah, day 9 show tomorrow. Absolutely. Okay, let's go on. Orb of Venom slow duration reduced down to 3 seconds, and the DPS increased from 3 to 5. So, before it did 12 magic damage. Is that true? It did 3 per second, I believe. So it did 12 damage, and now if it does 5, that means we're doing 15. So a 33% damage buff in terms of damage, but it means it slows less. So that means you could buy Orb of Venom on damage heroes a little bit more. I know when Techies was a little popular, that Techies would buy Orb of Venom because you could just put it on somebody and it gives you 15 damage. That part of it is really good because it's 15 magic damage for 275 gold. Technically, if you're auto-attacking consistently, then Orb of Venom is not very good damage, but I think there's a possibility that heroes might buy Orb of Venom now for damage. I could maybe see that. 15 is a lot, actually. Magic-wise, that'll reduce to 12. For 275 gold, that's a really good upgrade. I think if you're having a really good time as a support, or maybe if you're trying to zone offlane heroes, maybe it's worth it. Maybe in some cases it could give you an advantage. The slow is obviously atrocious. It's like 3% or something. For the slow, Orb of Venom is weak, but if you're really trying to zone an offlane hero, Orb of Venom might be worth it as a support now. But maybe it's not enough of a gold advantage to make a difference. But as a melee, it probably is actually. I think that might be where the value is. Maybe if you're a melee support and you're trying to zone an offlane hero, it could be value. So the benefit now is obviously more damage, a little bit more damage. The damage is buffed. I'll have to try that out. Maybe there's some melee supports that could become more useful with this. That's one of the big problems with melee supports is like they never zone well, and because of that, it's not worth playing them in a lot of cases because you always need to pick a hero that can actually zone an offlane hero. So that's my first thought when reading that. I think this is also really cool. Because to keep it lower, because it interrupts salves and clarities and stuff like that and bottles. It's kind of OP for that. I think 3 seconds is a lot more reasonable. And there's just a lot of melee heroes that can really abuse Orb of Venom anyway, so I think this is overall a really good change to the game. It's basically like a small nerf to things like Legion Commander, offlane, stuff like that. I think this is overall very good. So I like this change. I think it puts the game in a slightly better place. Tranquil Boots, this is an interesting change. Windlace is what you use instead of rank protection. No longer provides any armor. The regen takes longer to kick in. The active movement speed, which is when you're not taking damage, is buffed by 5. So you're a little bit faster. And the disabled is buffed by 10. So it's a pretty big change for movement speed overall. But Power Treads also got buffed to by 1, and Quelling Blade no longer stacks with Talon. So this one's kind of minor. It's kind of just a sub-use that pro players are doing where they buy Quelling and Iron Talon. They jungle faster. This is a pretty nice buff to Power Treads, I'd say. And now if we go into Tranquil Boots and talk about that, this is a pretty big change to the game. So speculation about this is basically that it's they were nerfed to basically hurt all the offlane heroes that were really played heavily, like Centaur, War Runner, stuff like that. Centaur, Axe, Legion Commander doesn't buy it, but there's a lot of heroes that really abuse Tranquil Boots all the time. The fact that it no longer provides armor is actually huge for supports, because a lot of supports will buy Tranquils, and it may not seem like a lot, but 3 armor makes a huge difference for supports, because usually supports, there aren't a lot of items that you can buy that give you armor that are inexpensive. That's just not very existent. Yeah, you can buy things like Medallion, but Medallion doesn't work on every int hero. Like, there's a lot of spellcaster int heroes where Medallion's just not good, like I don't know, Oracle or something. People actually do buy Solar Crest on Oracle because it makes your high ground better. But if I'm playing like Shadow Demon's not a good example. It can kind of work on SD. There's a lot of supports I can work on, but there's other heroes where I'm like, do I really want to spend 1200 gold getting an item that gives me 7 armor? Or is it better for me just to buy a Glimmer Cape or something, you know? I think the 3 armor will make a huge difference for supports. Again, I'm sure people already know whether or not it does because they played more pubs, but the fact that it gives you more movement speed is cool. The fact that it gives you more disabled movement speed is really cool. But the lack of armor is going to hurt supports. With that said, it's going to hurt offlanes more, I think, just because most offlane heroes are also high HP. So if you have a hero like Centaur with an insane strength gain, that 3 armor throughout the whole game is certainly going to be noticeable, because those heroes are probably still going to want to buy Tranquil Boots in a lot of cases. I don't know if they will consistently anymore. The movement speed is still huge. I would say heroes like Slardar are still going to want to buy Tranquil Boots if they offlane at all, just because the movement speed is huge. But heroes like Centaur might go towards just going Brown Boots now, perhaps. It's still so much movement speed, though. That's the stupid part. Like, if you haven't taken damage, it's 90 movement speed. That's like 50 more than what Brown Boots gives you. And even if you do take damage, it's still like a win lace, still 20. So, I don't know. And the regen's obviously very good, just takes longer to kick in. So, I don't know, maybe we'll still see Tranquil Boots. It's just going to be a lot easier to kill offlane heroes with physical damage than it was before. 3 armor is still significant. That's like 18% physical survivability if you only take physical damage by just having Tranquil Boots. So, those heroes may be forced to get an earlier armor item, maybe forced to buy Vanguard more often. Maybe the hero that'll be hurt the least is maybe something like an Axe, perhaps, but Casual Bucklers definitely can work, but you're still talking about 800 gold. Obviously, it's cheaper than a Medallion, and it gives your team 2 armor. But I think we could definitely see Buckler for 2 reasons. Just, what's 2 to all stats? Gives you 7 armor. 2 to push. You can push with it. That part's kind of cool. It does take an item slot, though, which is kind of rough. So I'm not super sold on Buckler, but I know pro players definitely buy it sometimes when they want armor. I think Solar Crest will still be bought a lot. But definitely some Buckler in there. Most likely, we'll see. Maybe there's better solutions. It does take longer. Active state regen increased from 12 to 14. Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. It doesn't kick in later. Thank you for the correction. Yeah, it doesn't take longer to kick in. It just gives you more regen. So it gives you more regen when it's active, but it doesn't give you armor. So that makes it a little bit better. Wouldn't Blightstone be better in all cases? I wouldn't say all cases, but it's certainly going to be better, yeah. Because Blightstone minus armor works better when your opponent has less armor. The minus armor, the damage amplification is more effective when your opponent has less armor. If they have more armor, it's less effective. But technically, it still increases your damage by the same no matter the armor. It's kind of complicated. It's like this weird math thing. So yeah, Casual Buckler could definitely work. But still, 800 gold. And it delays your other items. I'm not sold on it. There's probably some supports it could be worth, like supports that are less survivable with actual spells and items like Jakiro or something. Maybe you buy it on him. But the other issue is like Basia doesn't really work because it's only 2 armor, and you don't really want the 0.65 mana per second because your int is high, so it'd be better if you have a Sage's Mask. There's a lot of reasons it's kind of weird, but we'll see how it plays out. I think that's always going to be something that a lot of supports want is a cheap armor item, and Tranquil Boots is by far the best. Medallion good, Mech is good, but there's maybe some better stuff usually. One really cool thing about this though is, I guess you already go Tranquils plus Windlace, but you're definitely faster now. You're like 30 movement speed faster now when you take damage, and 25 or 5 faster. I guess technically it's the same thing, 10 and 5. But sometimes movement speed makes a big difference as well. Power Tread's still very good, but a little better now. That's pretty cool. It's basically like buffed back up to where it was a long time ago, I think. A bad end, strength gain nerfed. This hero was really strong. The point 2 is, that's 4 HP per level, I believe. Because point 2 is 20%. No, yeah, 4 HP. So 4 less HP every time that a bad end levels up, and it's also 0.2 less damage, which is potentially significant. Every 10 levels, that's like, what, 2 damage? Yeah, 40 HP. It's not a huge amount, but it adds up a little bit. Also makes Vlad's worse, actually. That part's pretty significant, I guess, because I guess the bad end doesn't always buy Vlad's, but when he does, it's more strength obviously makes it better. Ancient Apparition, these changes were kind of interesting. The cold feet damage tick is changed, so it does more late game. One of the worst things about this skill is that it actually only does 300 magic damage over the course of like 5 seconds or something, and the cooldown is really long at level 1. But I like that they changed it, that way it does way more at level 4. That does 360 magic now when you cast Cold Feet and actually sets in. And I like that they reduced the cooldown a little bit on the level 1. I think that's a little bit more value. Allows you to change your skill builds a lot and not feel like your skill's as useless. A does still really need an ally that has good setup. It makes a big difference, but I really feel like Cold Feet is a fantastic ability if you have gank potential. It just increases your team's damage by a lot. So, Acid Spray Radius reduced on Alchemist. This is kind of nice. This was the bigger nerf. The Chemical Rage cooldown increased, just because his downtime is going to be a lot less. If we take a look at the math here, because before it was like 45 seconds, so if we multiply that by 0.75, means our Chemical Rage cooldown was 33.75, and it was a 25-second duration. So that means you'd only have about 9 seconds cooldown with Chemical Rage. But now with Octarine, if we multiply that by 0.75, it is 41.25. So that's a pretty big window. That's what, 12, almost 12. It's like a little bit over 11 seconds window. It's actually way more than that. It's like 16, because it goes from 25 to that. That's a huge difference, actually. It's basically 16.25 seconds downtime. Way better than 8. Almost double the downtime. So this means if you happen to find an Alchemist, you have a much better chance of him not having his Chemical Rage active, which means he actually might be killable. Makes a huge difference. So I think this is the bigger nerf. This is also pretty huge, though, because usually when Alchemist uses Acid Spray in the early game, you can't even stand in it very well, but now you can at least walk around it. So ranged heroes should have a way better advantage leaning against Alchemist now. So I think these 2 changes were pretty good. I don't think there were too many other Radiance changes or anything like that, if I'm not mistaken. So, I don't know. Maybe he'll still be really strong. With the Midas nerf, I think things like experience gain talents are looking better and better to me, especially because they also reduced the max experience needed to hit max level. Turn my headset back on. So something like a 15%, a level 15, 30% is a little bit more appealing to me. The level 28 talent here, this is a pretty good change. One sec, I forgot to open that other window. I found Dotabuff was a little bit more accurate, generally. We are talking about Bane. So, this should all be updated. So 250 health is pretty fantastic. It'd be kind of hard to take this, but these 2 perks are really, really good as well, though. So, still not the biggest fan of this level 10 one. I think now I'm going to consistently grab 6 armor no matter what, just because Tranquils can't be purchased anymore, and I do sometimes buy Tranquils on Bane, but I don't know, 200 mana is obviously valuable as well, but where are we, Bane? So just a small buff here, but because these level 20 perks are so good, that's also kind of tempting. I'm honestly not surprised to see that, well, that's cool, they show like patch differences. So the win rate's actually gone down here. Probably because of Tranquils, I imagine. Which one's green and which one's orange, though? Oh, I see. Armor's down there. Oh, armor went down. Really? Wait. This is confusing. I'm going to ignore this. I'm not too surprised to see this here. Cast range. This is so much cast range. This is like an Aether Lens. And I've been really wanting to play Bane, actually, to get to 25. 100 movement speed is god tier. But I haven't had a chance. And I think the few times I played Bane, I didn't even get close to 25. But maybe if I went for this gain. Could be. possible, but I feel like I'd only get this if I was having like a really good game where I could actually power level with it. And one of Bane's big problems is you actually can't push waves very fast, so I was thinking maybe I should play Bane and go like, maybe like Tranquil's Helm of the Dominator or something like that. Maybe that's kind of silly. Not sure. Little buffs. This one's very tough to use. Enfeeble sounds so good on paper, but man, that's a lot of damage reduction. But I don't know. Maybe in very certain lineups I could see pro players abusing this really well. Brewmaster, this is basically just a nerf to Brewmaster Alacrity. Although he does get an attack speed increase, which is nice. That basically doesn't amplify the Alacrity damage now, just the base damage. This is kind of necessary. I think this talent kind of needed to get buffed. Problem is that Brewmaster's other talents are usually a bit better. Yeah, the Thunderclap damage is pretty consistently grabbed. This can be really good if there's a lot of magic nukes and you need to survive to get your ulti off, but very often people just want a little bit more damage, especially once you get Ags. This is double damage, basically. This comes through twice, so. Mana regen makes sense. 20 strength, wow, that's a huge difference. That's 400 HP, so that's not surprising. But you could definitely go a little bit more Battle Brewmaster. And the other change was really cool. This got buffed. This got slightly buffed, but I think the bigger one is here. It actually has a much lower win rate, interestingly. Yeah, that strength is so good. And then this is cool too. So it used to give 20 armor to your ulti, but now it's just 2000 HP. So the way it worked before, I don't even think it was 20 armor, was it? Wasn't it like 10 or 15? I think it was like 15 armor or something, which if we do the math is like 90% increase in HP against physical only. But now 2000 health to all primal split units is by far better, because I don't think they have 2k. Maybe the Earth Panda does. So basically they're just tankier no matter what against armor or physical damage, and they're also tankier against magic. So now it's actually possible to consider getting this one instead. Because if you were against some heavy magic lineup, you just can't get that one, because it's like, well, I don't really need the armor, I need like magic resistance against an invoker or something, maybe. But just giving them more health is a really cool change. That said, this perk is really good because at the first hit you get a double crit, you get an automatic crit. So I don't know, DPS Brewmasters definitely has some possibility now. But the hero's still a little iffy, I would say. Bristleback, one of the least played heroes of the patch. Complexity will be happy about this though, because I actually play Bristle a lot in the safe lane position. Cool Spray AoE goes up. I think this is needed because it has the projectile speed now, so you miss people occasionally. Buff to the HP talent. The other one is... don't remember actually. Played him recently. Oh yeah, the Goose Stacks. I actually am really surprised this has a higher win rate. I don't feel good about this talent at all. Every time I get it, I feel like I don't actually use it. It's definitely better against Roche, I guess, is maybe one place. But like even when I get Ags, I don't stack people that often. I get 4 stacks by the time they die, or they run away or stun me or something. So I feel like the health perk is by far better, but that's probably just like a pub thing. I feel like 225 health is far superior, especially because that's like another Quill Spray too. Every 210 HP, or every 210 damage you take from the rear is another Quill. So I feel like the health perk here is by far the better one. These got changed though. Yeah, the health regen I'm not surprised is picked more often, just because if you have a lot of regen on somebody that has a lot of magic resistance, it's super value. Thanks El Chupa for the bits, appreciate it. Health regen on a really tanky hero is amazing, but 25 quill stack damage is quite valuable, because if you get a lot of quills off in a fight, you're talking about a lot of reflection, because the stack is 36 right now, and you add 25 to that, it's a pretty big change. It is difficult to get a lot of quills off sometimes though, so I think the best perks here are probably mana regen, health. Attack speed's god tier, because you get all this plus damage from your ulti, you really want the attack speed. I think I got respawn time once maybe, when I was playing like a pseudo support, but even that wasn't very good. And I would consider getting quill stack some games. It kind of depends though. If they have damage that they can't control, like an Invoker Meteor or something, maybe I'd get this, but it's kind of tough to justify that over the regen. Broodmother getting buffed again. Incap Bite goes up. This is like actually insane how much health this gives at 15. That's a level 15 perk. I was really surprised to see that, but this hero's getting buffed a lot. Still has a pretty bad win rate. Very unpopular hero, but experience gain, it's okay. I wonder if this one's better. I guess experience is probably better because of pushing and stuff, but cooldown. Cooldown reduction's pretty good on this hero, I'd say. maybe not amazing. I mean, lower spawn spiderlings is good. It's 8 seconds. It's probably pretty value for spin web, but past that, it's like what, BKB, Blink Dagger, maybe Echo Saber. I don't know what the brood builds are right now, but 350 health is so much. It's almost hard to pass it up, I feel, because that could get you really tanky really fast. I wonder if there's like a... It's got to be some kind of... Somebody's going to invent a brood build, and brood's going to be OP again. Looks like people still going Echo Saber. He went Orchid into Bloodthorn. That's probably a really good idea, actually. He's got insane KDA here. Because if you're already... Basically, the harder you hit, if you're critting and you're life stealing from that, then you're getting a lot of health. So Bloodthorn probably solves a lot of those problems. Let me look at the... I'm going to look at the match and look at his build really quick. Can't remember. Is it down here? No, I want to go to item builds. Far? Yeah, there we go. I want to see his projection or progression. So he went phase, he went Echo Saber. This is like the Bulldog build I saw. He didn't go Midas though. I think Bulldog was going Midas. And then he built an Orchid, and then he got a BKB. I think that's pretty safe. He definitely needed a BKB this game. Orchid helps because it helped him kill like Clinks, Nyx, Ember. Diffusal Blade right after to get more disable, basically some slow, and then finish Bloodthorn. It's really early Bloodthorn. It's good timing too. I guess that's something really good. If you just get a really fast Bloodthorn, it actually changes your team's game so much in a lot of ways. Just because it's so early that it like no matter when you use it, it's great. So even if they can get away with it or get away from it, like helps you rush faster. I don't know. It's really good active. Building it this early is probably makes it worth it. So skipping like the Midas could really justify this in a lot of ways. And then he just built like Scotty, boring stuff. Yeah. Oh, maybe there's something in there. Some brood build that could like really change the hero. Probably could have just clicked the new tab. This is a pretty nice buff. This used to be a pretty crap talent. It was like, I don't know. I don't even think it was movement speed. It was like cast range and something else that I don't care about. But they changed it recently. They changed it to movement speed. Putting it up to 30 is a really nice change, I must say. These are both pretty good perks, though. Kind of depends what you're up against. How do people that get the skill first have the higher win rate? I don't understand, guys. That doesn't actually make sense. Very small respawn change, but I think in a lot of cases I'd probably justify the movement speed, because if you can actually get out of the fight, it'd be really nice. Like both of these. I actually say Chen's perks are pretty solid now. I like them. Clockwork, 40 HP buff, 2 damage bonus. Death Prophet got some really good buffs. She's been getting buffed repeatedly. 0.4 strength per level is really good. That's 8 HP per level extra. So that's an extra 80 HP by level 11 or something like that. Yeah, this talent kind of sucked. The only 1 second difference was really not that much for her. So I think it's good that she got that adjustment. I think when I played it, I couldn't not justify like cast range for like Yule's cast range, and casting Crypt Swarm and Silence from farther away is really value, but 1.5 is making it a little bit better. That puts it down to 3.5 instead of 4. So that means when you get an Octarine, if you get an Octarine, you can do 3.5 times 75%. So 2.62 seconds. Pretty good. It's an option. This perk is super good. I actually can't believe that people don't grab this more. I think a lot of people really undervalue movement speed. 10% cooldown reduction is very good though for Spirit Siphon and Exorcism and stuff like that, but 50 movement speed is god tier. Like being able to actually run away from your opponents is a really good way to get survivability. It's something she really needs. Oh, and this one up cast range by 50. Pretty good with Spirit Siphon. So pretty good buffs to her. Doom getting some buffs as well because the hero was actually just not good enough yet, surprisingly. I played him a little bit in the last patch. I thought he'd be pretty good, but nah, he's after playing him a couple of times, he has some issues sometimes. And with the Tranquil nerf actually, or change maybe I should say, he's actually gotten hit hard pretty bad by that. I saw a lot of pros going phase boots when he was played. I don't remember what tournament it was, maybe Genting or something. Didn't like the phase boots build. The Tranquil build is by far the way to go in the hero. But the problem now is that it doesn't give armor anymore. And the hero actually has quite a bit of HP, but he has no armor. So Doom kind of in a weird spot. When he was played the time before that, I think people were buying like Tranquil's Buckler kind of stuff with like Crimson Guard. They were buying a lot of armor on the hero. So maybe it's going to go towards that again. This is starting to become like a stupid amount of HP. So maybe going towards that kind of build again would be good, but the lack of armor definitely hurts him. I don't know if I could justify going like mech on the hero, but maybe something like Vanguard could work. Perhaps. Doom damage increased just a little bit. Not that much, just 5. It's like... It's not bad damage. It's like 50 pure damage or something. It's pretty good. Because this nuke only does like 300, so that'll put it up to like 350 pure. It's a little bit more respectable. This is good. This really needed to happen, actually. That perk was just... There's no reason you would ever pass up the movement speed, or pass up the Scorched Earth healing damage. Like 25 movement speed is a little bit more reasonable, I must say. Because like Scorched Earth, that extra damage is insane. That's a bonus 150 plus another 6. It's basically like I'm guesstimating, like an extra 180 damage healed to you and done damage AoE. So Scorched Earth, that perk was so good at 15. 25 movement speed is starting to get into value territory just because you're getting percentage-based movement speed from Scorched Earth. So 14% of that 25 is getting you even more into value territory. So I can say 25 times 1.14. So it's more like 28.5 movement speed when you grab that level 15 perk. Might make it more worth it, perhaps. If I'm playing like tanky core, I'm like the strongest guy in the game, I would definitely get Scorched Earth. But maybe if you're playing a support role, you're having a rough game, I could definitely justify the movement speed, I feel. Perhaps. They also changed the Doom Devour can target Ancients perk. I think they needed to do this. Like every game that I got 25 on Doom, I just didn't even feel like this was worth it, because honestly, you don't want an Ancient when you can have an Alpha Wolf. Alpha Wolf is 30% damage bonus to you and your allies, and it gives you a 20% chance to crit 2 times damage. Why would I grab that over a Thunder, like a Black Dragon that gives me 3 armor and the Fireball thing and some splash attack? That's crappy. Or I could even grab the Thunderhide that gives you 15% damage, 15% attack speed. And yeah, I guess it gives you that AoE clap. I don't know if it gives you the attack speed one or not. Maybe it doesn't, but in pretty much all cases, the Devourer one is better. Not to mention that the other talent was the 2% Infernal Blade damage, which is insane. It basically takes it from 5% to 7%, which is a huge difference. That's like 8% HP damage done. Huge difference. So they moved it to 20. They removed the 25 health regen, which is probably for the best because it was kind of a very good perk. Now it's the difference between, do you want your Doom to do a shitload of damage, which got buffed, I believe. No, I guess, yeah, 35 to 40. Huge difference. Again, it's like the same as this one here. So that's actually, put together, that's a big difference. That's a difference of 10 if you want to go down that road. And it lasts for 16, I think, 15. So that's an extra 150 pure. Pretty good. It's like a 200 damage nuke difference. Could make the Refresher or Ags build a little bit better. But I like that this is changed up a little bit. One of the Ancients that's really good is the weird one, that new one, the Spellcaster or whatever. You can have their base armor or root people. That one's potentially very good. The Granite Golem can be good, 15% extra HP for you. In fact, if you go something like the health perk here and skip the GPM perk or the gold perk, which is kind of scary, but maybe it works. If you want to just do like a pushing Doom, that could work. 275 health at level 10. Maybe go like Greaves or something, perhaps. And then go like movement speed, perhaps. Or maybe the heal perk and then get like the Golem at 20. Could be really good for going high ground. You'd have like a ridiculous amount of HP really fast. Who knows? Oh, that's right, and they buffed it here. 40 health regen. 40 health regen, super good. Yeah, I feel like there's definitely more playstyles in here now, which is nice. Whereas before, it was just a little bit too straightforward. It's like, oh, I get the bonus gold because it's a shitload of gold. And then I get the Scorched Earth. And then I'm like, maybe I pick the regen, maybe I pick the Doom DPS. And then like last 25, you always get the Infernal Blade. But 40 health regen makes it a little bit harder. They basically put the 2 good ones on the same line, I'd say. Tiny little buffs to Dragon Knight here. This is a perk that I'm thinking about getting more so now. Just because it'll get you to 18 or 18? 17? 18 a little faster, which is, I don't remember which one is level 3 for, must be 18, because it used to be 16, right? So, gets you to 18 a little bit faster, and once you get to 18, then you've got free Scotty, which is pretty value. So, I'm thinking about getting this again. I think level 10, you pretty much always get attack speed. Another problem Dragon Knight really has is actually movement speed as well, because your hero's like 335 with treads. It's actually atrocious, but with the treads buff by 1, maybe it's worth it to do it. This could really generate some value too, which going strength, maybe dodge the attack speed, maybe. But Dragon Knight has a lot of problems, I feel. He's not really in the best place. He can work some games, but his perks are just kind of wacky. Yeah, and you'd be passing up 40 damage at 15, but I don't know, the 40% experience gain could really be value. If you get 120 GPM at 20, that solves some of your farming issues. I think I would pass that up over the health. Love to see the win rate difference. Okay, 300 health has a quite a bit higher win rate. And level 20, 120 GPM is pretty late in the game actually, so maybe that's not worth it, but kind of hard to say. This hero has some pretty straightforward issues right now. Bad outside of his ulti, needs mobility items, needs a BKB. I just don't know if that level 15 is worth it, but getting to the 25, level 25 could be worth it. So I think if I went 40% experience gain, I would get 120 GPM and movement speed. Whereas if I went 40 damage, I think I would probably go health, maybe health first into movement speed. But I don't think there's a lot of cases where I grab 2 times Dragon Blood HP and regen and armor. I think that's a huge mistake. And I see it all the time. Everybody picks it, but I think 75 movement speed is a huge difference for a hero that's tanky and a good core in the late game. I mean, if I'm getting attack speed, how can I give up damage? It kind of depends on how the game's going. One issue with Dragon Knight is that you do actually farm kind of slow. And plus 40 damage obviously is fantastic. It's a really good way to accelerate your farm, but I feel like Dragon Knight accelerates a little bit more from like a Maelstrom. Like I don't think the 40 damage makes a huge difference in how fast Dragon Knight farms, because pretty much Maelstrom plus Breathe Fire and you're farming relatively fast. 40 damage is more like killing ancients and heroes, more or less. Whereas with the experience perk, just getting to a faster like 25 I think is going to change the hero. And a faster level 3 ulti changes the game a lot. It's honestly like 30% movement speed slow is god tier. Like free Scotty, man, that shit's amazing. I don't know, I'd have to play it and try it out, but 40 damage is definitely fantastic. But maybe with the experience gain, if you're ganking a lot and you get to 15 relatively fast, could really pay off. Maybe a lot more than damage. Also, I'd say that on a core, experience gain is actually kind of cool, because if you're Dragon Knight, you're not going to die first, probably. If you stay alive every fight and you're always getting experience gain, that's pretty huge. But a lot of the experience perks, I think, are actually on supports. But supports don't usually live through fights fully. If they just keep dying at the start, that perk's worthless. So, with that said, the win rate is actually fucking atrocious on it. So, I guess that's not too unexpected either. I don't know. I think it'd be fun to try, at least. This path definitely makes a lot of sense, but maybe this one's worth it. Who knows? Maybe it's better just to like get tanky and buy damage items. Get tanky with this perk and buy damage items. I'd have to try it out. Earth Spirit getting nerfed again. This hero is one of the top picks at DAC, so not surprising here. It's hitting him pretty hard here. It's a very low duration slow. At level 1, 0.8 seconds. Used to be 2, by the way, when the hero was first popular. Or first came out, kind of 2 seconds slow. Now it's only 0.8 seconds. So, and also with the nerf of Orb of Venom, that also makes him a little bit worse. It's actually a good point to bring up. Makes roaming heroes a lot worse, like Monkey King and Earth Spirit. So maybe roaming is getting nerfed a little bit heavy. Ember Spirit, a little bit of nerf to him. He's pretty popular again. Not as OP as he was before, but still good. Enchant getting a lot of buffs because the hero has still been untouched completely. But maybe there's some chance for Enchant to come back in the game in a heavy way. So recent changes. I think they put the Untouchable slow in. That was cool. They put the Wisps all the way down here. And what was the other one? They removed the extra duration for Wisps. That's a lot of damage, actually. And you will be right-clicking. This one's pretty tough, actually. I think I would go movement speed myself in a lot of cases. But if they had heavy nukers, I'd have to get stats. But if they're right-clickers, I would go movement speed, damage, maybe. You can go stats. I like these options, though, and I like that the win rates are pretty close. This one's obviously pretty trash, in my opinion, but it's like affecting an Ancient is just so good. And you can recast it on the same one. And by 25, you've got level 4 anyway, so you can basically always keep a couple Ancients around. You could have way more Ancients with Enchantress than you could with Chen. You could have like 4 or 5 probably. That probably really helps her late game. I think Enchant's definitely worth playing right now, I would say. It's probably really good aggro jungle too. Maybe a great way to like ruin the day of a lot of offlane heroes, perhaps. Faces Void, getting an agility gain buff is pretty small, but who knows. Invoker base strength reduced by 1, not much of a nerf to him. It's only 20 HP, but I do think he needed a nerf. Like, the games where Invoker does well, he does like God tier and looks like such an OP hero, but he does lose some games and he's not always picked. So I think this is an appropriate nerf. Just basically makes his laning a little bit worse. Juggernaut, very small nerf, 5 movement speed. With that said, I do know that Magnus gets nerfed, so I don't know. Maybe it was not as big. I do know his pub win rate went down by quite a lot. Oops. I think his overall win rate went down pretty. Yeah, this is pretty huge difference actually. What do I want to do? Let's go over here and look at it. Did they change the stuff, or am I just confused? Oh, I'm thinking of the meta trends, the tab. There we go. This is what I want. Yeah, I don't need to search Jug. He's going to be at the top. So, yeah, 49% win rate, above 5k. Still pretty high, I would say. He was, like, very consistent hero in the pro scene at DAC. Wasn't necessarily the most OP hero, but definitely up there. But 5% movement speed reduction it can really matter for a melee hero, especially with one that can attack so much. Chain Frost slow increased percentage-wise. The duration went down. So this is actually really huge for Lich, because this means that if it's like 2 heroes next to each other, it's going to be harder for them to separate because the slow is so much more. It doesn't last as long, which is not a big deal, I think, just because you're going to keep them together. If they're really close, you should be able to kill somebody, get more bounces off, basically. Sacrifice buffed as well for later levels. I don't think this is super significant, personally, but who knows, maybe you can like level up a little bit faster. It's not that much different, honestly. It's so small. Small buff. Mostly this is like a late game mana pool buff, I think, is how I'd look at this. Lifestealer nerf this year is super OP. Maybe not super OP, but definitely one of the top picks at DAC. Mostly an early game nerf. Gonna have some more mana problems. Lifestealer rage attack speed also nerfed at all levels, so this is gonna just affect Lifestealer mostly for hitting buildings and late game killing. Respawn talent moved to 15, and the cast range from 15 moved to 10. So now her level 10 is 125 cast range, or I think 80 light strike array damage, I believe. Alright, I'm going the stupid way again. Heroes. So this kind of needed to happen because the whole Bloodstone build, like Bloodstone's always going to be a Lina build, but putting minus 30 respawn at 10 was kind of stupid. You could like instantly respawn very easily, even as a support. I think it stayed for Line, which I think is fine because Line's not as good of a core. But Lina accelerates too much and has too good of a skill set, I think, and talent tree to justify it. It also helps support Linas as well. Like, cast range was really good on support Linas, but now they have to make the decision, do they want more cast range or they want more nuke damage? And personally, I think I would light strike array damage now as a support. Kind of depends on what my opponents are, if they're good at gap closing or not, but all cores will still get 50 damage with no question about it. But if I'm playing Lina and I'm sucking, I might go respawn time maybe. But I have a feeling that I have a feeling that is a pretty bad win rate. Yeah, 30-second respawn at level 15 is pretty late, and you're always going to have chance to right click as Lina, especially with this much attack speed. So I'm not surprised at all this has the higher win rate. Cast range way higher win rate actually. I guess that's pretty value. Can light strike away from, especially at nighttime, you could get an initiation with this. Might be really worth it. Maybe as a core I get the damage though. We'll see what better players do. BZZ. Let's see what your talent tree was. It's bugged. Oh, Dotabuff hasn't updated their thing. Probably this means cast range, I'm guessing. I assume means cast range. Basically same build. Nothing new. Just cast range at 10. So, I assume. Lina. Lycan level 10 talent increase. I actually never play Lycan, so I have no idea what his thing is. So let's go take a look. Lycan. 15 damage or 200 health. Okay. That's pretty large amount of health, I would say. 15 damage is value though, especially when you get bonus damage. This won't work actually. This is based on his base damage and his strength. So Forgot that they changed it to HP regen. It's not attack speed anymore. Was it attack speed? I think it was attack speed and damage. Am I crazy? Can't remember. Forgot the regen comes from this, though. Bonus health, bonus damage. So basically damage across the board. Buff to the crit as well. Decent buffs to the hero, not overpowered though. Empower got super nerfed. So this ability just empowers heroes. I didn't mean to say that shit. Makes your carry heroes way too good. The mana cost increase I think is pretty fair. It's not going to really hurt the hero that bad though. It just might really matter mid game. You might not have enough for RP combos. And this talent needed to be nerfed as well. I think this is a fine way to fix Magnus a little bit without like super breaking the hero, like making him unplayable. I don't know what his other talent is at 20 though. I'm curious what that is because I feel like there's going to be some times maybe when Magnuses don't grab enough. 40 movement speed. Yeah, I'd like to see people grab that more often. It's a pretty nice talent. May actually end up being a little bit better soon, but 10%'s a lot still, damage-wise. Could be a difference of like 20 damage, 30 damage sometimes. At least to the single target. Alright, Monkey King nerfs, what everybody expected. Boundless Strike stun duration, a little bit reduced. 20% at all levels. This is the jump down in AoE nuke and slow. Mana cost is a lot higher at 1. I actually played him last week, a couple days ago before I went to the vacation. He actually does have some mana problems. I know a lot of times at DAC he was always picked with a Crystal Maiden. So I think he's going to have a ton of mana problems now early game. And I think what I'm hoping is that Monkey King will be pushed a little bit more towards a core than a support. But I am not confident that that's going to happen. But I think that would be more fun just because we haven't seen Monkey King core too much just yet. With that said though, just a little bit of mana solutions, it can work, certainly. But he's not an easy hero to roam with, I must say. Like, pros are definitely very talented and can make amazing things happen with the hero, but I think it's hard to see that same value out of an average player. Like, I don't think I'm very good at the hero at all, and I don't even know if I should practice, but I kind of want to try it. I kind of want to get good at this hero. I should really improve my roaming. Right now it's just really bad. The slow is worse at first level as well, so only 20% slow. That's pretty shit, honestly. We might even see Monkey Kings grab 2 points early. I don't know if that's crazy to say, but I don't think it's a terrible idea, honestly. The lack of stun duration, the stun duration would really hurt people, but like if you can double your slow duration, that's pretty value right there. That's why I think people might actually start doing this. Just because you're getting 40% slow versus 20 is huge gank-wise, but with that said, stun duration is also massive. We'll see how it goes. Most pros were maxing Primal Spring after the stun, so either way, we're still talking like level 8, I guess. It's probably not worth getting a point early. Depends on the lineups, I suppose. Damage could go up a lot. Goes from like 100 to 180 or something, maybe. The cooldown is also going to be nerfed. It's worse at level 1. And strength gain does go up. So he got buffed in this way. 0.3 is 6 HP per level. And Wukong's command gets nerfed duration-wise. 130 to 90. I think this is fine. Completely fine that this happened. Monkey King doesn't always level super well, so this could actually be impactful in a lot of ways. And this is now like a huge teamfight ultimate, really. 130 is massive. So this could push things like this, and like these could really push him maybe more towards a core, perhaps. I would say Monkey King core is basically unhurt by these nerfs, in my opinion, which is kind of a cool way to do it, really. It's basically like your level dependency. I mean, this is obviously huge, but your level dependency on like Primal Spring, you basically need more mana, which you can do with the core. Not so much. It's harder for a support to deal with that. These things are like way more impactful for a core versus support. It's still big, and like this as well, kind of the same thing. So I don't know, interesting to see how he changes, but roaming wise he's definitely far worse. I think these three were huge. These 4 maybe. This as well. Monkey King roam way worse, I would say. Moderately worse. Nature's Prophet base damage increased again. I know that with a Null Talisman you have like 70 damage on this hero now, which is ridiculous. That's actually so high. I think Prophet is still has a lot of issues, but I mean technically there were a lot of Prophet buffs. Like towers have less armor now if your heroes aren't nearby. He's still a really good laner in terms of you can easily harass supports out between your base damage being really high and your treants hitting. I think they hit for like 30 damage right now. Plus the Tranquil's gone. If you get like a Blightstone, you can definitely do a lot of physical damage. Problem with Prophet though is it's very easy to like repeatedly feed, and I guess Midas got nerfed also, but I don't know if that's a problem on the hero. I think that might be a benefit. Maybe. I think Midas and survivability items are the key to the hero. I played him once in China, in pubs that we played, and I won my lane really hard. I killed the carry, I think I killed the support like once or twice, but then I just started feeding mid-game once the PL got a Diffusal Blade, because he would just like kill me. I just need to get like a Blink or a Shadow Blade, I think. If you don't have like that kind of a survivability item, it's really hard to impact team fights well, I found. I think I just needed to buy a fast Midas, I think, and scale that way. Go like Midas, Shadow Blade or something. I didn't do that though. PL getting a very marginal buff. This isn't a huge difference, but I mean, it's kind of a cool way to change the hero. I like the idea implementation, but I just don't know if it's ever going to be that great. I don't really feel the benefit myself. Technically, if the illusions also get this, it's kind of cool. But like when it lasts, it only lasts for like, it doesn't say how long it lasts, but it doesn't last very long. It's basically like 1 or 2 hits. It's kind of cool because it increases your attack speed, and your first hit does way more damage, but it also increases your armor as well, which is cool. It's like you get armor and all this cool stuff. I mean, you want to stomp each one BOT. I like this build. This is a cool way to do it, I think. Basically your nuke is pretty good at team fighting because it's a 7-second cooldown. So if he just gets a really fast BOT and he shows up to every fight, then yeah, same Monkey King build really. Nothing changed here. But if you just show up to fights really fast, and with the Spirit Lance damage actually at 10, he's hitting for like 325 every 7 seconds, which is pretty good. And with BOTs, he can show up anywhere on the map pretty much. And you can actually farm a little bit faster. So it's like utilizing the hero's nuke rather than his Diffusal Blade to get stuff done early. And you get a huge movement speed bonus, which is actually really big on this hero. In fact, because the hero is really slow base. And usually you have to get like a Yasha and a bunch of other shit to make it decent. Look, he didn't even get like a Windlace. It doesn't look like he just literally bought like fast boots of travel. Did the man not even buy Aquila? Seriously? Is this actually everything? No, there's no way. Surely people bought Poor Man's and... Oh, I think this is taking item progression from the Dota 2 one. It doesn't show everything, I don't think. I would be curious to see what he bought. He probably bought like Poor Man's Aquila or something like that and then went BOTs, but definitely a fast item, but probably just moved around, got a lot of kills, helped out with fights, got Diffusal Blade, then he's good at fighting, then he got an Ags. I kind of like that. I think that's a good way to play it out. And the other thing I was curious about was his 15 perk. He went stats and evasion. Yeah, it makes sense. There's not that much nuke, except for the Lena, I guess. Was she core? I don't know. Probably core. Probably still worth it against Bloodlust, I guess. Maybe I would go Magic Resistance. Maybe I messed up there. Probably didn't matter. The game was probably over by then. Stats make sense, though. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Phoenix got buffed strength by 40. I know there's a lot of complaints about Phoenix with the Tranquil Boots nerf because the hero has really low armor. With that said, in some ways the armor is not that big. I think it's huge for the laning stage. But technically once you're 6, armor is not completely important. Because basically you either die in the burst, disable-wise, or you get your ult off. So I wonder if this is just fine for the hero. It's obviously worse zoning, but... And maybe you just hold a Ring of Protection all game. Is that too crazy? But you're ranged, so you can't buy a Stout Shield. That would be the ideal, so just get a Stout if it was a melee, but you can't do that. 40 extra HP is pretty big, though. 2 more base damage. Hero still sucks at lane, but he's supposed to be greedy because he's good at team fights, so whatever. Pugna buffed by 5 movement speed. This talent buffed a little bit. Not sold on that talent, I guess. What's the other 25? Well, apparently this one is going to be better now, though. So, Nether Blast does half damage to structures, so that's pretty big. Does 325 plus 150, so that'd be 575. That's pretty huge. That's like almost 300 damage to a building every time you Nether Blast. That's pretty value, I must say. Especially if you get the cooldown here. I'm a little surprised people go mana regen, actually. I feel like health is kind of needed on the hero. But movement speed really good. You don't obviously always use it, but for pushing towers, Pugna's pretty good. This will be a little bit better for ending games, I guess. I think I would definitely skip this. This is only heal. This doesn't make it do more damage, so. It only kind of works if you are healing a core or if you are life draining somebody and not dying. In a lot of cases, you just get silenced or dead, so I think I would probably take Nether Blast pretty consistently now. Especially because it's also being amped by decrep on heroes. It's kind of a cool change. Co-op getting buffs. I didn't know if this is going to make the hero good enough. I'm not sure. Level 10 talent. So an extra... This is the one that I usually get personally. I think the other one's like 20 damage. So it's basically 200 HP now, which is huge on co-op. Because usually you have like 800 HP at that point. So I think 200 HP makes a big difference. Because your armor's kind of low. You're kind of weak to nukes, disables, that kind of stuff. Anything that's, I guess, silences and stuns. So I think that was a good change. Shadow Strike cast range increase is kind of cool. I wonder if co-op Shadow Strike is viable yet. Probably not. Probably not, because you kind of have to do the Scream combo to farm and stuff. But here's probably still bad. So I think this does probably 5 ticks of this. So probably did 5 times 60, 300 plus like the initial. I don't know what the initial is. 125. So before it did 425 damage to dagger somebody. And now it does 75 times 5 plus 125. 500 damage. That's a pretty big difference. 500 damage per dagger for a level 4 dagger. I think it's honestly realistic that we could maybe start seeing some co-ops max dagger first. It's not amazing, but I don't know. I feel like even... It's kind of crazy to not max blink, but... Is this a possible build? Roaming co-op, guys? Is this possible? Or maybe you play like safe lane co-op and then just go ruin lives? Or offlane co-op? Offlane co-op I think is actually where co-op gets some value, honestly. Yeah, this guy roamed today. What's the MMR? 7k? I think this is maybe the way to go. Like, I don't know why people didn't try to do this before, but like trying to play co-op mid is kind of iffy, but I played an offlane co-op game in China that I felt went really well. Like, she has some offlane issues, of course, but I think it's possible. Oh, it's 25 damage. Wow. Yeah, the strength is more win rate. I'm not surprised actually. 90 GPM is pretty low. I think the cooldown, I like that. I would probably maybe get health though. It's kind of crazy that this is actually 200 health here, and at level 20 you get 300 health. But 70% spell life steal could be super value. It's probably far better than making Shadow Strike 0. So if this is a 4-second cooldown, which is really low, and the cast range is now 600, if you just get your dagger, like you could basically just show up in lanes and just cast dagger on people repeatedly, especially if you get 2 points like this. How much damage does this do? I should calculate that. That's actually the more important number. So it's 45 times 5, which is already a shitload. It's a little bit under 250. And then plus 75. That's 300 damage. So with 2 skill points, you've got a 300 damage nuke if they don't purge it off. That's actually fucking insane. Honestly. For 110 mana, 2 skill points, level 3, you've got a 300 damage nuke. You could probably play co-op like a support now, to be honest. And it was kind of like this before, really. I mean, did it even get buffed that much? It really didn't. It was already doing like 275. Now it does 300. But this was kind of an obvious, like, hey guys, cast Shadow Strike. But all the other buffs were like 25 and stuff. I think this is the one that I want to see. Yapsor's playing. I didn't even realize it was Yapsor, but this is kind of cool. Yeah, I just feel like this could honestly work decent. It's got to be, I think support is the way to go. With that said, he obviously progressed into a core by all means. I think eggs is kind of needed to get your ulti not so stupidly on cooldown. But he didn't buy wards either. Forced the Rubik to do it, but his GPM was very high. I'm sure he transitioned into like a split pusher. He just cast daggers all the time, I'm sure. How much hero damage did he do? Probably insane. Yeah, he did like 53k fucking damage. Like, he probably just ran around and cast a dagger. Every time he casts a dagger, it does an insane amount of damage. Maybe Veil is worth it. Yeah, he went strength, cooldown reduction, health, lifesteal. Yeah, not surprised. Yeah, and you max dagger. If you're roaming, that's absolutely what you do. And you max scream after. That way you can actually push and do AoE. He just had to be a lot more choicey with his blinks. Yeah, that makes sense. It's basically what I theory crafted just now. Cool. Yeah, I'll have to try that out. I think that's possibly good. Weak disable, but you could really impact lane just by going places and casting dagger on people. And I do think that Quap off lane could work sometimes, depending on the lineup, because she can trade really well. The game I played, I had a draw on my team. We misplayed a lot. Was it China? No, it was before China, actually. Anyways, Razor Basement increased, so that's an extra 24 mana. It's okay. How much mana is that? 21 times 12. 252 mana. That's pretty good. Level 10 talent buffed. The other one is really good, I think. But 25 movement speed is actually fantastic on Razor. So Razor has a lot of problems. He needs magic immunity, he needs HP, he needs mobility. His other 10 perk is also 15 agility. That's insanely good. 15 ag is crazy. That's 2 armor, 15 damage, 15 attack speed. Really good perk. If you're right-clicking a lot, or if you're against right-clickers. But 25 movement speed off of unstable current is also value. So we're getting value from that. So that's 25 times 1.16. 29 movement speed basically for this perk once you've got this maxed out. And if you also have S and Y maxed out, it's a little bit more, probably another 4. So if you go like the S and Y, you can be really fast with this perk basically. But with that said, you can also skip it, I think, and still be pretty close to capped out. But maybe this helps you if you don't want to go S and Y. Maybe that's the build. Maybe you skip S and Y, you go like Ags or something, and you get the movement speed perk instead. That could work. And then you just stand your people. I don't know if you'd want to get cast range or not, because I think it only works for static link, but I'm actually not surprised to see these pretty equalized. So this would reflect 260 damage instead of 130. The next problem is that your ulti does physical, unfortunately. I guess that makes sense, because it works with your second skill. I was thinking like Veil or something, but... maybe you have eggs. Maybe an eggs build could work, but... oh, it's kind of hard to say. And then if you go eggs build, then you don't farm as fast versus like an S and Y. Maybe Mask of Madness is what this hero needs, actually. Yeah, this hero should buy Mask of Madness, maybe. It's kind of iffy, because he has iffy... yeah, I think that's what I should do when I play this. Because basically you cast like Plasma Field at the start, and you static link, and you ulti, and that's it. Like you could Mask of Madness. I think I'm going to Mask of Madness. Try Mask of Madness on this hero. And I'd probably go Agility. Might need armor. It's the only problem. Maybe the mech build should come back. Maybe that's why his int got buffed. It's Basement. Bring back the mech build, guys. Is that the solution? I don't think it is. Not with 15 agility. Not sure. But Mask of Madness definitely want to try it here. I know Shadow Shaman got buffed again. Small buff here, small buff there. This is really tempting. 200 health is insane on that hero. But his armor's really low. Not that you go Tranquils, but maybe you go Tranquils now. Tranquils could be really good on the hero, especially with extra movement speed here. This is another experience perk that I'm thinking about getting, because the level 25 on Shadow Shaman is so godly now. Where you at, little guy? So the difference is cast range. Cast range is really good on this hero, though. Shackle range increase is huge because the cast range is low. Hex cast range is huge. But goddamn, experience gain looks so good. And this hero farms so fast with Aethershock that I feel like the experience gain could be worth it. This may finally be like an experience gain perk that I am tempted to get. Especially because Shackles is now 20 instead of 25. They removed the magic resistance perk, which was tempting, kind of. But was it that or respawn time? I think I almost always grabbed the... I don't even remember. I don't think I played him enough. But now it's 3-second Shackles duration. And they changed 3-second Shackles at 25 to 350 Aether Shock damage. This is insane. This is the skill that I want to get. This one, don't care. Like, honestly, don't care. This is only good, in my opinion, if I'm playing like Ags or I have Ags Refresher. Then I'll think about getting this. But in almost all other cases, I'm always going to get this. 350 Aethershock is insane because it goes from 320 to 670. So every 8 seconds, I have a 670 cone nuke, which basically solves Shadow Shaman's late game problems. If Shadow Shaman plays like mid, for example, late game you just suck because you just don't have enough damage output outside of your ulti. You've got really good disable. He turns into this like hero that can only disable unless you ulti. But if they have like a little bit, if they're tanky and they have too much armor, your Master Ward just doesn't do shit. Maybe if you go Solar Crest or some shit, I don't know. But I like that you can turn him into actually a nuker hero, and you could push even better with this. You just like one shot a creep wave, so you could become a better split pusher. I'm sure there's times that this is worth it, and it does have a higher win rate, but I feel like pretty much 80% of the time I'd probably get the Aethershock damage. And I don't even care about this win rate. I don't even feel like this is right. This number is here because players are bad. So I feel like pretty consistently I would go like, I don't know, one of these. I'm not sure which. I like movement speed better though. And I'm very tempted to get the experience gain because I know that I'll split push fast enough to justify the levels. I'll go level up really fast. Feeding would be scary though. Shackle's duration for sure. I really don't like this. This is so irrelevant to me. Whereas like shackling for like 8 seconds if nobody else is around, that's like ridiculous. And then yeah, Aethershock. I definitely want to play the hero more. Scarith Mage, base movement speed buffed again. The HP perk buffed a little, not a lot. I think the other one's like 7 int or 9 int or something. I still want to get that consistently when I play the hero. But, you know, more HP could be good. 7 int. 7 int is just so much for Arcane Orb damage increase. I'm actually surprised he has a win rate. A good win rate, but this hero's going to get hit hard by the Tranquils nerf a little bit, but I guess treads are a little better on the hero, so maybe there's some value in there, but I don't really want to get Greaves on the hero. Like, you need armor of some kind, but Medallion sucks on the hero. This is just a hero where there's not good solutions. I guess you have to get Veil now. Maybe like treads Veil, but then you don't have an Atos. It's like, God, what do you do? And you don't want to buy a Veil before you get your Atos, but maybe in some lineups it works probably fine. Could go like treads Atos wand or something on this hero. Maybe a Glimmer Cape before you do the Atos or the Veil. Sven buffed. This one actually makes me a little curious. I think that could be really good late game. It's a 13-second cooldown normally, so before it'd go down to 8, 7, which nobody really cares that much about. But it going down to 5 is huge actually. That's a 5-second cooldown on a AoE stun for 2 seconds. That could definitely be justified for Sven players. Is that or 65 damage? I think that's pretty worth it, honestly. I mean, people buy Abyssal all the time. It's 2-second stun. But if you can turn your Stormhammer into a 2-second stun, followed by a 2-second Abyssal, and then you have 1 second left until you can Stormhammer again, that's actually amazing. I think that really helps make Sven a little bit better late game. And it's going to make sure he doesn't get kited quite as much. This is, I think, a little nice increase. I don't think we're ever going to see Sven's get mana at 10 in most cases, but 225? Maybe. For support Sven's, it's good, but nobody should do that anyways. Although at some point the mana is going to become so good that like 6 strength doesn't feel worth it, but 6 strength plus God strength is like 18 damage difference, so that's why that's so good. And 120 HP. That's kind of hard to pass up for the mana. But maybe the mana's worth it some games. Hard to say. Not sure. Techies, I heard about this one. Makes sound difference. This needed to happen, I think. They put the 60 respawn time to 25. Once you get 20, you're basically always alive, which is kind of annoying. And now it is 400 blast off damage. I actually don't know how much that does. I think it's like 600 or something. Excuse me. Blast off does, yeah, 600. So that's kind of cool. You could go from 600 AoE to 1000 AoE at level 20. So that's kind of cool. But it might get techies more into fights, which I think is how he should maybe be played. But 1000 AoE magic is huge, actually. But I do like that they put this at 25 instead. I think this was a nice swap. So basically, if techies want a turtle, they actually have to be like endgame. And that also means their decision's harder, because basically techies always wants to get 20% cooldown reduction. They would always grab that, because then they can mine more. But now, they either can place mines more often when they're alive, or they will be alive faster. If that makes sense. So they basically took the 2 best talents and they put them on the same level, which I think was a nice decision by Ice Frog. And now they have to say, do I want more money or blast off damage? I think a lot of techies will go for the GPM. I think if I was playing techies, I would go blast off damage though, unless I was really far behind. maybe. I guess they both have value for being behind. Tiny base damage by 3. Movement speed buff at 15. Not sure what the other one is. Is that the cooldown reduction one? Maybe the attack speed one? I played a tiny the other day where I didn't get the attack speed. Oh, it's the plus 60 damage. Ooh, I think I would get the movement speed pretty routinely here. I think the perk I don't like is the 20. I kind of wish the attack speed was higher maybe, but 40 movement speed is fantastic though. I really like those perks. Really help him to get out of fights. Oops, wrong one. Really help him to get out of fights after he gets engaged, or after he engages. Save him from buying like a force staff, I feel. Like that perk. Yeah, Tree and Protector put in. Leech Seed a little bit worse at 1. Overgrowth, pretty big nerf to this, I would say. Especially for Ags buildups, I guess. Small base movement speed. Yeah, he really didn't get nerfed much at all, actually. This wasn't bad. He's still fine. Underlord, little buff to him. Underlord is just kind of a shit hero right now. Not seen as very strong. 1 armor could help. This is small. Could help. At some point, Underlords may grab movement speed, but this amps your burning thing, and it's pretty good considering that it does a percentage of their HP burn damage, so I don't know, the spell damage is pretty good. Vapor buffed again. 175 health for 10. The other one's like agility, I think. I saw Mott tweet about this. Pretty excited about Viper buffs. 15 damage. 175 health is kind of a lot. I don't know. I think at some point I'm just going to get that. I would probably maybe go health agility, perhaps. Because we're getting pretty close to 10 strength. It could also really let you change up your item builds a little. It's like this cancel plate at 7,500 got... still went Helm. I think this is the right move, actually, to go Helm still on the hero. Go like Aquila Helm. You could push towers really fast. You'd have an extra disable. You can cancel TPs. The attack speed increase. The regen part is really good. And plus Treads got buffed. I think this is a good build. But he was against like a minus armor hero or something. It's against a TA, so basically just TA protection. Yeah, this is a pretty darn good Viper game, I must say. Yeah, you got the health, got the agility. Poison attack affects buildings. Really interesting. Well, that's right. It used to be armor. It used to be 7 armor. 7 armor at 20. I think it was 7. Kind of curious to see that grabbed. 75 attack range is very small, so I kind of feel like it's irrelevant. Maybe the thought was he can siege easier against like techies and shit. So what is the, it's like 40 attack speed slow or something? That's pretty huge, actually. I think that was a better place to put it. Like, it being at 25 was so stupidly late. It's like, by then, you feel like you don't do anything. But basically turning that into 20 armor now actually makes it viable, because it helps you adjust to what you're playing against. So now if you're against, like, what counters Viper basically is single target damage. It's kind of like what beat Lifestealer late game. But now you can actually take the choice, like, am I dying to nukes? Or do they have physical carries? Like, 20 armor is insane. Like, more than doubles your HP against physical damage. So 20 armor is fantastic. I really like that change. That said, the 80 Viper Strike DPS is really good too. It's a lot of damage. It's like 400 extra damage whenever you ulti somebody with an Ags. That perk's really good. I think almost all Vipers will grab 20 armor now, I think. Especially because a lot of Vipers can't justify going for like a ton of agility items. It just doesn't really work. You have to get like some, but not that many. So you definitely have some armor problems late game. So I think this is really needed. And what was the other 20? 75 attack range. Yeah, that's kind of shit. I think I would probably grab the poison attack a lot. 40 attacks below is massive against buildings. Range is good too though. Wyvern buffed here. I'll probably grab movement speed most times playing the hero. Zeus intelligence goes up. Level 10 challenge changed. I actually like this a lot. The movement speed. That said, yeah, they removed the 35 movement speed at 20. Change it to plus 75 arc lane. I actually like this one, the 35 movement speed. That's a lot of movement speed. I like that they removed the health one. I didn't really feel like that one was super value. 10 or 25 movement speed's pretty big. I think I would get that consistently because the hero has survivability problems. He got armor buff at 15, 7 armor or 15% magic resistance. I think that's more equatable. And at 20, respawn or arc lightning? Ugh, I don't like respawn. I feel like you get arc lightning damage pretty much no matter what. 75 is so much because it only does 145. So 145 to plus 75 is 220 damage. It's way better. I'd probably grab the arc lightning damage for sure, no question. And still get cast range. I think cast range is by far the better one at 25. Unless there's like a really special game. So Southeast Asia game. Zeus versus Invoker mid, I guess. Looks like he went Blink Yules, pretty standard stuff. And he got mana regen and armor. Armor makes sense. Mana regen, yeah, whatever. I guess if you go Blink first, then it's pretty justified. Arcane Soul Ring, Blink. He didn't super skimp on mana, I must say. Because he basically held on to Soul Ring all game. Mid game Octarine, built an Axe after. Yeah, it looks fine. Axe is actually pretty decent on the hero now. You can split push waves and stuff. It's okay. I'm not sure if I liked his choice of mana regen over movement speed. With the Soul Ring pickup, I feel like it's maybe overkill, but kind of hard to say. I guess there is a mana drainer on the enemy team. So that was my dog groaning a little. I think that's it. I think we're at the end now. Alright. Well, that was a patch.